Congressman Peter Roskam joins us this morning. Thanks for coming in, Peter.
Thank you, Dane.
What do those low numbers suggest to you, and how do you fix them?
Well, I think they suggest that there are great challenges that our country faces. The Democrat leadership has lost the expectation game, I think. They created the expectation that we were going to get out of Iraq quickly. They sold that basically to their base in the fall election, and now they haven't been able to deliver on that. And now they're finding themselves in the House very frustrated with the Senate. And the Senate is not as quick to move the Democrat agenda as I think a lot of House members thought they would be.
Well, let's move along quickly to the issue that seems to hurt both parties equally, Congressman, and that is immigration. Would you have voted for this bipartisan compromise had you been given the opportunity?
No, I wouldn't.
Why not?
Well, first of all, I campaigned against amnesty, and in order to keep and honor that campaign commitment, I would characterize this bill as an amnesty.
You characterize it as an amnesty bill.
I do.
What would you do with the 12 to 20 million illegals now in the country?
Well, I think I'll answer your question, but let me at least address a premise that I think is a false premise that the Senate sponsors have been advocating. The false premise is that you have to fix this and that you can fix this all at once. I don't think that you can. I don't think that we got into this problem overnight, and I don't think you're not going to get it done in the twinkling of an eye.
No magic pill, no magic pill.
Look, this is like the heart patient that comes into the emergency room. They open him up and they crack his chest and they say, "Hey, you've been smoking 3 packs a day for the past 20 years. You're a mess. You're not going to be playing racquetball tomorrow. We can help you."
But the public opinion polls, Congressman, show that Americans want it fixed yesterday. And in your district particularly, there is a great deal of discontent over the immigration issue. Tell us what you hear from constituents. What are they concerned with?
They're overwhelmingly opposed to the Senate version of this bill. And what the public is saying, at least to me, in the form of emails and letters and conversations in town meetings and so forth, is fix the border. There is nobody that can look the public in the eye and say that the border's fixed. It's not. Now, it's on a better trajectory than it was a year ago, but the border is not fixed. There are literally still people streaming over the border.
But is there the will in Congress to spend the billions of dollars it's going to take to seal off the border?
Well, I think you saw in the last Congress at least a move in the right direction, and that was to authorize and begin the funding for 700 miles of border fencing. Once you get that piece under control and the public really gets the sense that the border is under control, then you can have the next conversation.
Congressman, the public has the sense that your party in particular, and your president in particular, favors this amnesty bill, as you describe it, because the Republican base of that wing of the party, at least, is interested in cheap labor. And they want it for hotels and construction sites and many other things. In your district, there is a great deal of backlash to that. But there does not seem to be, across the party, any uniformity in terms of how you view this issue.
You're right. I think that's a fair characterization. You don't get it both ways. You don't get labor with folks that don't have any rights under the law because they're here illegally. You don't get the benefit of that, and then be able to move forward. You're right. That's a fair characterization.
Was this the last best chance of an immigration bill? Is this dead if it doesn't go anywhere?
I think it's dead in terms of this large, comprehensive reform. But the issue is not dead, and I think there is a growing consensus. Look, the country spoke. The Senate leaders came together, and had it been the Senate alone, without any input from the public, they would have passed that bill. But the country spoke, and the vote was overwhelming.
Why is there such a disconnect between what the public is telling people on Capitol Hill and those public opinion polls and what the Congress is doing or not doing on the issue? I mean, I have never in my career seen an issue in which that disconnect has been wider. You might mention the war, but certainly immigration seems to top that list.
I think there is a great desire to throw a Hail Mary pass right now, to just get it all done. And the leadership is currently saying, just chuck the ball down the field, and if you can catch it in the end zone, then everybody will be happy. This is like the Harriet Miers situation. This is like Dubai ports, and now is this amnesty proposal. And the country has said absolutely not. So I think that it's incumbent upon the leadership now to go back and break this process down. But you've got to start with a secure border.
I want to bring you back to local politics a little bit. You spent your time in Springfield. You did your time there. We're seeing gridlock in Springfield right now. Normally when we say political gridlock, you think Democrats versus Republicans. This is Democrats versus Democrats. Have you ever seen anything like this?
No, I've never seen anything like this. I think if we were quiet right now, we could listen to the train wreck happening in Springfield. And I think it's a sad thing. When one party is given the entire keys to the kingdom, every constitutional office, controlling the House and controlling the Senate, and now they're in an overtime, and it's not a good reflection on the
want to know
Democratic
what's going on down there. Peter, you spent years down there. You know exactly what's going on. You served under Senate Leader Emil Jones. You know what his relationship is like with Speaker Madigan. How would you characterize that?
Well, I think it seems to me, a pretty harsh relationship, and I don't want to act as if I'm in the room when these two men are talking, but I've been in the environment, as you pointed out, and they have very different agendas, and I don't think the governor has offered very good leadership over these past several years, and now this is really the consequences of what I think is a failure of leadership. Look, they have taken every accounting sort of finagled approach to hodgepodge budgets together in the past, and now all the tricks are done. The bag of tricks is empty, and now they've come down to some really substantive, very difficult decisions that have to be made.
Well, House Minority Leader Tom Cross has suggested that they simply do a natural growth budget, that there is no appetite for tax increases in the state, and Speaker Madigan has passed a budget that is very close to that. But there is no sense that this is going to move anywhere until they fix the utility rates issue.
Well, right. The utility rates issue is inextricably linked to the budget. And the difficult decision that the leadership has to make in Springfield right now is, do you create the environment where we become a California, where there's the possibility of grayouts in the future, or do you,
you don't
where
really
is
think that's a possibility, do you,
well,
Congressman? I mean, seriously.
If over a period of time, you got to make sure that there's enough generation capability. No, I'm not talking tomorrow. I'm not talking next year. But remember, California didn't get into its situation overnight. That was the consequences of years of intervention.
Very quick.